Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the Ordinary Boy Boxing channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about the heavyweight contest that happened on September the 24th between Joyce and Joseph Parker. This was a heavyweight contest that was held at the AO Arena in Manchester. Parker weighed in at 255.35 pounds and Joyce weighed in the heavier at 271.4 pounds. The three previous opponents that both men have had, Joe Parker, he beat Junior Farr by unanimous decision. He then had two fights with Chisora, which he won by split decision and then unanimous decision. As for Joyce, he obviously beat Daniel Dubois, beat him by KO. He then fought Carlos Takam, who he beat again by TKO, and then Christian Hammer again was a win by TKO. And going into this fight, Joyce really on the come up. Obviously he had a really good win against Dubois, and that was kind of a fight that a lot of people were saying that he wouldn't win. He's been around for quite a while and he's not been the most fortunate in his career, but it's nice to see him now kind of getting in the vein. I think he is now #1 contender to the heavyweight championship, and that is deserved. He's a tank. He's they called him the Juggernaut, and I can absolutely see why. He just comes forwards, can take so much, and then just stand there and be able to give it back. He really is a interesting heavyweight to watch, and he does deserve the position he's in. He was up against Parker, which was a really good matchup because Parker is obviously an ex-heavyweight champion, losing them titles to Anthony Joshua, but he's been in some really good fights with Derek Chisora and with Dillian White as well. So this was a really good matchup for the two. It had already been rescheduled once, so there was a bit of messing about with this fight. And going into this fight, I wasn't that enthusiastic about it. I mean, I like Joyce and I like Parker, but they're good heavyweights, but they're not. You know, it was a pay-per-view fight. It wasn't. I suppose it was okay to be pay-per-view. They're big names, but there's no belt on the line. There was no. The build-up wasn't great for it, so it didn't have me invested that much. It turned out to be an absolutely fantastic fight. Yeah, it was very watchable, and I wasn't sure that it would be. I thought it might be quite boring, but I was wrong. So anyway, I'm going to do as I always do. I'm going to go through the scorecards for each round, see how I scored it, and then see if that matches up with the judges and what you thought as well. So starting off with round one in Joyce Parker. Good fast jab from Parker, good jabs to the body and the head. He was really mixing it up well. Joyce was a much slower of the two, which was to be expected. Joyce is very good at cutting the ring off. He's very good at, I mean, Parker, the amount of times that Parker spent in the corner in this fight, and because Joyce is like a juggernaut, he just walks people down. It must be like fighting Iron Man. And Parker's trying to hit him and jab him, and he's just not moving Joyce. So Joyce is very, very good at cutting the ring off, I noticed in this fight. For me, the quick jab from Parker won round one, so I gave that a 10-9 to Parker. Going into round two now, Parker was really targeting the body. Both men letting punches go a bit more now. Some really hard punches were being thrown by both men, and it was only round two. I really struggled to separate the fighters in this round, actually, to give it to one. In the end, I gave it to Joyce, simply for the more effective punches, but it really could have gone either way. I couldn't argue with a Parker win for this round or an even round. I really couldn't. But I did give it 10-9 to Joyce for round two. Going into the round three, Joyce rocks Parker. He was really laying it on to Parker in round three. It felt like Joyce did catch Parker around the back of the head, though, in one of the exchanges. Parker was making the mistake of exchanging with Joyce in this round, which he was never going to come out good on. They were both gassing, actually, by the end of the round. Parker replied with some cracking shots in return. I did go it to Joyce, based on the effectiveness he had with his punches. What an explosive round this was. So that's in round three. I gave that 10-9 to Joyce. On to round four. Low punch for Parker, which was missed by the ref. Low punch from Parker, which missed by the ref. Joyce was still constantly pressuring him. Joyce got hit with an absolute bomb from Parker in this round, and he didn't even flinch. It was amazing. I gave this round to Parker for the punch output, and obviously that crack of a shot that he caught Joyce with. So that's a 10-9 to Parker in round 4. On to round 5. The fight looked like it could end at any second. Another low shot came in from Parker. Joyce was really earning the name Juggernaut. He was just relentless. This was a really tight round again. I gave it to Joyce though for the constant pressure. So 10-9 in round 5 for Joyce. Going on to round 6, Joyce was battering Parker in this round. Vicious exchanges from both men. Parker was tiring simply just from the constant pressure that Joyce was giving him. Joyce is very good at doing this to fighters. But Parker really was showing a lot of heart in this fight. I gave this again 10-9 to Joyce in round 6. On to round 7, crazy hooks from both men to start the round. Joyce's body shots were having an effect at this point. Parker was looking knackered. Joyce was also, I noticed, leaning on Parker in the clinches, which will also be tiring out because the heavier of the two men. Parker got really badly cut at the end of the round, and also he was really getting bad at the end of the round as well. But what a fight, what a round and what a fight this was. So for round 7, I gave it 10-9 to Joyce. On to round 8, Parker now couldn't escape Joyce's flurries, and the cut eye was really bothering Parker. They were really struggling to stop the blood from dripping down. A bit of holding and pushing by Joyce as well in this round. He was trying to push his head down a few times, I noticed. Parker was now a bloody mess. There was actually a few moments, it was getting so bad, there was a few moments where I could have seen the referee stopping the fight, but he didn't. So I gave round 8 as a 10-9 again to Joyce. Round 9, lovely uppercut from Parker in this round. Joyce did respond well. I was questioning at this point, how has this fight got to round 9 already? Both did slow down in this round, but they were still absolutely throwing bombs. I did edge it to Joyce in the end for punches landed, but I could have seen it either way again. So in round 9, I gave that 10-9 to Joyce. Round 10, a lot of leaning and wrestling in this round. Both were feeling the pace. You could see both Frank Warren and Fury shouting advice to both boxers during this fight. Obviously, Tyson Fury is very pro Parker. Frank Warren very pro Joyce. They were both shouting at each man. I know whose advice I'd listen to out of Frank Warren and Tyson Fury when it comes to boxing. Both men were still happy to exchange with each other. Fantastic finish for Parker. So this is what won in the round for me. So I edged this to Parker in round 10. So that was 10-9 to Joe Parker. So going on to round 11 then, both men really exchanging bombs at the beginning of this round, and then suddenly a hell of a left hook landed, which knocked Parker down. His eyes nearly rolled into the back of his head. He was down and he did not make the count. So Joyce won by knockout in round 11. Up until that point, I had, through 10 rounds, I had it scored 97-93 for Joyce. The three judges at the time of the stoppage had it 97-94 for Joyce, 96-94 for Joyce, and 97-92 for Joyce. So he was winning on everyone's cards there. Absolutely fantastic fight, full of action. Both men did themselves proud in this fight. Parker showed so much heart. A few notes I have from the fight is that I thought Joyce is such a weird stance. He looks like he doesn't know how to box. He obviously does, and I think it's that stance as well that kind of confuses his opponents. He really does have a strange stance. Parker is so quick for a heavyweight. I think that is really underrated. He's so quick, especially with those jabs. Such a quick jab he has. Joyce, as I said before, very, very good at constantly pressuring his opponent, just walking them down. Joyce, the only worry I suppose with Joyce he does get caught a lot. He hasn't got the greatest defence, but in saying that, he's so granite that he can actually take the punches and it gets him where he needs to be. He doesn't need to duck and dive and have the greatest defence. He can walk through punches, which, usually I would criticise, but he's at this point in the heavyweight division, and he's not been knocked out. So he's, you know, the only worry I'd have, I suppose, if we fought Wilder. Joyce, really impressive in this fight, and the gas tank he's got is really underrated. The amount of effort they were putting in, especially at his weight, and he could have went 15 rounds, it felt like. And again, Parker showing a hell of a lot of heart in this fight. Really impressed. So what happens now? Well, for Joyce, he is now #1 contender. He called out Anthony Joshua when the Joshua Fury fight didn't happen, but obviously that's not going to happen. He's going to have to wait until next year to get a title shot. He's now mandatory. Him and Usyk, he's now mandatory for Usyk's title. Him and Usyk would be an interesting fight. Obviously they fought way back in the amateurs, so it'd be a replay of that, but for the undisputed heavyweight championships. I really do hope that Joyce does get a shot next year. He really does deserve it. He's paid his dues, he's beat who he needs to beat, and he's beat really good opposition. As for Parker, he's always a mainstay in the heavyweight division. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. There's still a lot of money in there for him. He could fight Daniel Dubois. That would be a good fight. Obviously Dubois trying to get himself back up after his loss to Joyce. But yeah, there's so many options for Parker, and I really do like Parker. I like Joyce and Parker. I think they both seem like nice blokes, and they're both good fighters. So yeah, that was my review of Joyce versus Parker. It was a hell of a fight, and I really enjoyed it. What did you think of the fight? How did you score it up until that point? What did you think of the knockout, and where do you see both men going next? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.